So now, folks, we're moving up into a higher grade of ozone generator. This machine retails for over $1,000, and this represents one of the latest crazes in the world of ozone, which they call UV light ozone. And this is called the ProTech 8000 ozone generator. Unfortunately, 8,000 is just a number. It's not how many milligrams per hour this machine will actually produce. And this machine has a box just like the rest of them. This one happens to be a bent piece of fancy stainless steel, custom bent. And they call this the Marine Residential Commercial Odor, Mold, and Mildew Treatment machine. And unfortunately, it really doesn't have the ability to make that kind of ozone. And what's inside this machine is like most UV ozone generators today. You'll see at this very far end of this giant long box, we've got another tiny little computer fan. And this is again a relatively low CFM, about 65 CFM fan. And then we have 6 ballasts and 6 UV light bulbs that make a specific frequency of light that will generate ozone gas. Now, one of the really cruddy things about the design of this machine is these little shields here. And for whatever reason, the manufacturer put these shields to give stability or to protect these wire connections on the ends of the bulbs. Unfortunately, what these things really do is they hog that output of the air from this fan. Now, this fan blows this way across the length of the bulbs, and at the end of this tunnel, and this is in no way, shape, or form airtight when it's all sealed up and screwed together. When it gets to this end, it's barely putting out any real volume of gas, let alone the fact that UV light will never make high enough levels of ozone to do real shock treatments that's necessary to kill things like mold, viruses, bacteria, and mildew. This will get rid of odors again in a room. It's definitely better than good enough to do Uncle Frank's cigar, but to get to really high shock levels, you've got to use a different method called the corona discharge method. And UV light manufacturers are always touting the fact that UV light does not make nitric oxides. Well, folks, the real trick to not making nitric oxides is to always give your high ozone corona discharge machine access to a fresh supply of oxygen. If you're always converting fresh oxygen, you'll always have an ample supply of ozone gas, and it won't work its way down to the nitrogens in the air, which will create those nitric oxide molecules. So again, this machine for $1,000 is relatively fragile, relatively thin, bent piece of stainless steel makes up the box. We'll slide this back on top, and you can see this thing will never take the kind of abuse that any real commercial ozone generator needs to for real in-the-field use. It's a nice, pretty box, but for $1,000, it'll never create high levels for shock treatments. Folks, we're back with another bad boy from my collection of old ozone machines, and this one is the Aizone XT14000. Now, this machine is a fairly good ozone machine. If you're looking to make high ozone output, this thing makes 14,000 milligrams per hour. That's actual ozone output, like my machines. Unlike some of the other machines that are being sold in the $400 to $500 range that claim to have high tens of thousands of milligrams per hour output. This one really does. And this is a machine. Over a year and a half ago, I shot a video of this machine showing you exactly what it looked like inside the machine and how it functioned. Now I'm going to show you what this machine looks like having been put on a crew for only 6 months' time. That's right, my men actually broke this machine again in 6 months of real field use. And what you see all accumulated on this shiny stainless steel that was once polished like a mirror is the salt that we use to prevent the mold from growing. And on this end of the machine, you'll see there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 generator cells. There's a piece of ceramic tube, a bent thin piece of stainless steel, and in the middle we have a stainless steel rod. Each one of these generator cells makes 1/6 of 14,000 milligrams per hour. Now in the middle there's a huge array of transformers, and then there's another complicated circuit board because this machine has a digital timer. This is the on-off switch, and then the timer switch, and then we've got level settings A, B, C, D that engages 2, 4, or 6 of the generator cells at one time. And at the far end we've got another axial computer fan. This one is actually a little higher CFM output, about 135 CFMs, which is a decent fan for that type of a cross-flow fan. But again, all of the ozone is being made inside this ambient case, and that means all of this electronics gets exposed to the gas and oxidizes. The first thing that stopped functioning was the timer, and after that the switches. For a while my guys were making this function by setting a large hammerhead from a sledgehammer on top of it to keep it making the ozone. But I put this thing back in service on a real mold crew so you could see exactly what real abuse looks like and how fast you're able to kill a standard ozone machine. And again, this is just a thin piece of bent stainless steel case. I'm looking forward to dropping this because this hard plastic will definitely break when we do our dropping tests. And of course, this is a non-functional piece of equipment. This equipment retails for $1,899, and it only puts out 14,000 milligrams per hour. If you're looking for a 14,000 milligram per hour machine with a simple fan, my home 14,000 unit at $433 is the best one in the world. We'll be back in a second. I'm going to show you my very first prototype we ever built and then how we've evolved them over time. This is a completely different type of ozone generator. This is a corona discharge ozone cannon. And you see when I've started to take this apart, on one end we've got the switchboard which used to go to all these timer and level of ozone settings, rheostat, that would go right underneath here. This is one of the things that always goes bad in an ozone machine. Anytime you put a microcircuitry processing board in an ozone machine, because of the high levels of oxidization that are present, it will always go bad and in a relatively short period of time. That's why all of our ozone generators have been designed with simplicity and power in mind, because we want a long-lasting, durable super ozone machine with the least features to go wrong, so that for real in the field use by a contractor, you're never left without the thing for service. When you look inside this box, we've again got the computer fan at the far end. We have a relatively tough case. So, when we take this machine apart, I showed you on this end how it's basically got the same old computer fan, and it has, again, a complicated piece of circuit board which has a rheostat. That's the adjustment to turn the ozone up or down. Now, this rheostat will decrease the maximum ozone output by about 20%. It's the reason I don't put rheostats inside my ozone machines. And of course it does have a timer built in, which is the reason for the circuit board. They attempted to keep this from oxidizing by coating it in silicone, but as you can see, the silicone broke down from oxidization and the machine ceased to function. Now in the middle, what we have are, if you can see through here, there's very little room for airflow down this entire length. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 generator cells, And in here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 transformers. We have one transformer for each generator cell. That's nice, but the generator cells themselves are just to standardize, just another variation on a theme. And I'm going to unplug this generator cell here and show you what's in it. Remember, we described in our other videos the simple way ozone is made is by passing high voltage electricity across an electrified piece of stainless steel with a dielectric medium and another piece of metal as a ground underneath. So when we snap this apart, we can see that this tab connected a thin piece of stainless steel, which has got quite a bit of buildup on it, and I suspect that's one of the things that made it fail over time. And then we have a thin piece of borosilicate glass, and underneath that we've got a thin piece of brass, which makes for the ground. So again, electrified stainless steel, dielectric of borosilicate glass, and an electrified piece of brass underneath. It's a decent design. This is a relatively high output machine. I think this one puts out 6,000 milligrams per hour, just a little weaker than our home junior unit. Unfortunately though, this machine is priced at over $900. This is the Aizone model, and while this does have a United States patent on it, when you flip it over and look at the back, you see it's made in Taiwan. And again, another piece of decent ozone equipment, but really not one that has the ability to withstand a lot of abuse or a long lifetime. Well, now we're at a new machine, and this machine, folks, is actually one of my favorite ozone machines that I've ever had the opportunity to take apart besides my own. Unfortunately, you can't buy this ozone machine without first buying into the water extraction franchise that manufactures it or has it manufactured and sells to its people. What I do like about it is a nice, rugged, durable case. I'm looking forward to dropping this in one of my new upcoming videos where I drop competitors' ozone machines to show you the difference between a well-built machine and what passes for standard in the industry. Now, this machine has some features that I don't like. It, for instance, has a timer and an output variable machine. And what that means is inside this machine, there's a circuit board. And from taking apart the other machines, you realize that the circuit board is a vulnerable piece of equipment. Now, this one circuit board actually still does work. It'll actually turn on and set a timer. We can turn the machine on. The fan will come on. However, this machine no longer makes ozone, which is obviously how I got it. This one came at an auction for a few dollars. But it no longer will make ozone. What I do like about it, again, is it has a rugged, blow-molded case. And it makes ozone in a little bit of a different way from most of our machines. But I'm going to start to take this machine apart, and we'll come back in a few minutes to show you how it all goes together. Now, unlike most of the machines in the industry, this machine does not come outfitted with a standard 10 amp fuse. Instead, it has a little amperage 10 amp breaker, and that's there. It'll trip in case this thing ever would get overloaded with electricity. It's there to stop fires from happening. And when we begin to pull this machine out, we'll see that it has the same basic features of virtually every other ozone machine that we've examined. And I'm going to take this grate drain off the back, and we will show you just what's inside to take the mystery away from this product. So again, when you look on the inside, you'll see this machine is powered by a standard sleeve ball bearing axial fan. And this fan is another low CFM output fan. This one puts out about 65 CFM, which is really not enough air to force this out of the box. It's further restricted by this gigantic transformer, and this is a 6,000 volt transformer. And we'll remember, if you remember from earlier in the video, our rule of thumb is you get about 1 milligram per hour per volt. So this means this is another 6,000 milligram per hour machine, a little less powerful than my Home Junior, which we sell for $333. And this machine retails at well over $1,000. That's a whoppingly expensive machine for relatively low output. And what you'll see is the transformer literally is almost the same height as this fan. So that means, again, this airflow is being robbed or hogged by the transformer before it can get to this tube. The tube is where our generator cells are. Now what I like about this machine is the generator cells are very durable and rugged. However, they have ceased to function due to corrosion buildup, and these cannot be easily cleaned, and they're not able to be replaced in any fashion. Now give me a few more seconds, we'll get the rest of this apart and I'll show you how it works. So I've loosened this clamp here, and we're pulling out the tube that houses the generator cell assembly. I'm going to go ahead and disconnect these wires, the switch, the breaker, and I have to take off this nut. This is our ground. And inside of this machine, folks, is an assembly that has a rod going through the assembly, and then it has a piece of ceramic tube, much like a spark plug, and then it has, I don't know if you can see in here, it has this piece of bent perforated aluminum to try and give extra surface area. And that aluminum is contacting a ring, which contacts this aluminum ring, which goes to the ground wire. So again, we have high voltage electricity going through the rod. The ground is the perforated aluminum on the outside, and the dielectric medium is ceramic. And these long cylindrical generator cells are making the ozone. Now in this case, they're no longer making ozone, and the reason is the aluminum is oxidized to the point where it's no longer making a good connection. But all in all, this is a very nice ozone machine, and it does have a relatively rugged, durable case. I'm pretty sure it's going to break when we drop it, but I'm looking forward to see. We're going to take apart our next ozone machine here in a minute, and we're going to then pick on ourselves and show you our very first prototype ozone machine that I ever built personally, and then how we've made improvements to the designs over the years. Here I am demonstrating the very first prototype ozone machine I ever built. This was the very first bioblaster featured in some of our first videos over 2 years ago. And this machine was literally in service on a crew, functioning for over 1.5 years before we had to bring it in and put it into our ozone junkyard. We did that rather than rebuilding and refurbishing it so I could shoot this video. And you can see this has a airfare ticket on it. This machine is flown around the country with one of my crews to treat a mold project. And in this machine we tried to take out all the bells and whistles and create a raw, high output ozone machine filled with power in a super durable case that will last through the abuses that any real tough crew, contractor crew, can put it through. This was on one of my demolition crews. They get paid to break things, and they're tough and rough guys. And when you look inside this machine, and you'll see at the end we had an old-fashioned grate that we had made. And inside the machine we built our basic ozone machine. This is the first of our blower ozone machines. This is the transformer. It's not in place anymore because we've taken it apart to build some of our other demos for the videos. This machine will actually function today if I hook the transformer back up to it, and the blower still works with raw power, but it's now resigned to the ozone graveyard as part of a demonstration machine for our videos and our little museum that we have here. This machine was the basic machine that we started with, and as I learned more, this was powered by a simple 4,000 volt transformer. And as I began to learn more and more about ozone and how to make high ozone output, we modified our original tunnel design. This tunnel is made out of a piece of 4-inch fence post. This is our custom-made ozone tunnel. And over time we added a second transformer to our 2X models to increase the raw output of electricity and therefore the raw ozone output in the machines themselves. And you can see in our basic machine we've got the blower connected directly to this ozone tunnel. And that segregates the generation of ozone inside this tube. None of this is inside the ambient case. And that keeps it from oxidizing the rest of the components inside the ozone machine. Both these transformers have been used in real life in the field. You can see they're relatively unoxidized after over 1.5 years of use. So this model became our secondary 2X model. I've showed you exactly how it was made. Inside there are a bunch of thin mica plates making up 10 generator cells in the middle. But we went away from this design because over the course of time the connections become corroded and the ozone amount that's being made gets reduced. So now I'm going to show you my new ozone machines, the new generator cell design, and why our machines are the very best you can buy in the market today. So this is our original first dinosaur prototype, and this is our modern 2X. You can see how much smaller it is, which makes it much easier to use. Inside all of our Pro series of ozone generator cells is our ozone tunnel. We have a patent pending on this tunnel, and inside the tunnel we segregate our plates. And this machine has two 7,000 volt transformers, which generates about 7,000 milligrams of ozone per. And inside we have our generator cell array. We're using again the thick paddle type ceramic generator cell with the printed circuitry on the front and the back. And if one of these generator cells would ever break or go bad, it can be simply removed like unplugging a lamp and then pushing it right back in, dropping it right back down into the tunnel, running in 4 simple screws, and away we go. Ready for making raw ozone output. This is the most advanced ozone generator concept design in the world. Because we're putting a 1.5 horsepower blower, we're actually able to force that ozone and shooting it directly out of the box, because right on the other side of this is the egress from the machine. And this concentrates the airflow over the cells themselves. We have none of our transformers or any of that other garbage in the middle hogging the airflow from either our fan in our home units or the blower in our Pro units. We're going to show you what's inside, how this box looks once it's completely assembled, and you'll see exactly what I mean. Now we have designed this into the world's most durable toolbox. We've loaded this with over 900 pounds without breaking, dropped it from a 10-foot ladder onto bare concrete, yanked it off of a moving vehicle by its cord, and all sorts of other real-world type situations. When you open the hood and take a look under the hood, you can see we've reinforced the corners with a structural fireproof foam. We have not only a regular 10 amp fuse like most ozone machines, we also have included a thermal fuse so that if this machine ever gets over 180 degrees, just like a hairdryer, it'll shut off. And in this machine we have not 1, not 2, but 3 or 4 7,000 volt generator cells, and this one has an 8 paddle assembly, making this one of the most powerful professional rugged ozone generators in the world. We've also designed it to fit directly onto our generator stand, which will let you put this thing up to 8 feet in the air. And since ozone is heavier than air, that's an added benefit to you in real life use. If you're looking to buy a real powerful ozone machine with high power, ruggedness, durability, and the ease of being able to be repaired by yourself if a cell would ever burn out or go bad, the BioBlaster ozone machine line is the best ozone machine line in the world for contractors or homeowners alike. Don't take my word for it. Buy one for yourself today. Put it through its paces. Try it out. If it's not everything I said it was, I'll give you your money back 100%. No questions asked. It comes with our bumper-to-bumper 1-year warranty. Push, pull, drag it in, drop it in battery acid, or run it over with your pickup truck. If you send it back to me, I'll send you a functional working unit. And that, for contractors, is able to be extended for a nominal fee per year. Thanks for watching. We appreciate your business. Buy one today.